Okay, so good morning. So we're featuring a new feature on our YouTube channel. It's going to be the town battle. So each week we're going to have each contestant. This week it's myself and Alan who are going to be competing with what we feel the best town we're going to compete with, and the top three reasons that we chose that town and think that's better than our competitor's town. So today I chose Bridgeport, Connecticut, and Alan has chosen New Haven, Connecticut. So I'll let Alan give a couple second introduction about why he thinks New Haven is a better city than Bridgeport. Alan, go for it.
I mean, it most definitely is. It's much older than Bridgeport. So in 1632, John Davenport and John Hooker left Boston because they didn't like the place very much. And John Hooker in 1636 started the colony of Hartford. And in 1638, John Davenport started the colony of New Haven.
Wait. I spent like 10, 15 seconds.
It's been there over.
I didn't think you actually prepped for this. I'm screwed.
It's only been 8 seconds. It's only been 8 seconds. I was going to say
but we're still in
it's been there ever since. It's been there ever since, and over the last almost 300 years, they've become a city almost like New York, only smaller. And we'll get to some of those little things in a minute. But you go ahead. You tell me what's so fantastic about Bridgeport.
Okay, so I picked Bridgeport because everybody knows about New Haven. Everybody, New Haven is Yale Junior. Everything, you could rename New Haven as being Yale. Everything is focused around Yale. It's a great city. I spend a lot of time in New Haven, but I think Bridgeport is better because you have more working class, normal person activities, and you have some features that I don't see you beating in New Haven, and I know a lot about New Haven. Okay, so why don't you give your number one reason?
Well, I certainly can't talk about Yale now, can I? All right, fine. We'll start with number one reason. Number one, it has 56 Zagat-rated restaurants, more than any other town in the state of Connecticut, and the best pizza in North America, and probably better than what you'd find in Italy, quite frankly, and better than what you find in New York City. And Bridgeport does not have that. They have some small pizza places, but they do not come close to modern pizza, Sally's, or Pepper's. Go ahead.
I cannot compete with pizza. Nobody in the world can compete with pizza. That would be a foolish thing to try to compete with. So I've got something better than pizza. I've got wolves, bears, monkeys, and red pandas. You have the Beardsley Park Zoo, which is right down in Bridgeport, which is a phenomenal zoo. It has all North American animals. You get nice and close. It's a quick, from pretty much anywhere in the greater New Haven, Fairfield County area. It's a quick drive there. They have great parking, and you could go in and you could see wolves sitting in their natural environment any day of the week. So to me, that beats 56 Zagat-rated restaurants and great pizza. Although I do love pizza. Corey, what are your thoughts on pizza versus wolves?
That's hard. I love Pepe's. I love Sally's. We always take a ride to New Haven. The Beardsley Zoo is something that we as a family have been planning to go to, but haven't. That's really hard. Wolves versus pizza. I got to give it to pizza, Alan.
Oh, geez.
Sorry, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I would go out on a limb and say a zoo that's as small as a petting zoo does not beat my pizza. You're absolutely right by that. The Bronx Zoo would far outdo that place. Later, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about rejuvenation of a city, and I think that's very important if you're comparing the two. So over the last 15 years, a $2 billion rejuvenation project, the New Haven Harbor Crossing Improvement Program, took place, and they widened 13 miles of highways in the area. 7.2 of them were on 95 on the West Haven side and the Brantford side, and the portion of Longworth that runs through it. And they completely replaced the Q Bridge, which we used to call the Q Bridge, the Quinnipiac River Bridge, and turned it into the new fancy Pearl Harbor Memorial Bridge. Now, interestingly enough, Bridgeport is called Bridgeport, yet they have nothing but bridges, and they're all broken and run down and haven't been repaired in the last 50 years. So New Haven is definitely one up on Bridgeport in comparison when you talk about work projects for major transit. What do you think
Wow.
about that?
So you're going to talk about my city even before I talk about my city. Okay, so you could keep your highway. Great, you have less traffic and you're not going to die in a bridge collapse. I'm going to give you the Webster Bank Arena. So the Webster Bank Arena is the home of the Bridgeport Sound Tigers, which is a minor league hockey team. It's the home of Fairfield University's basketball program, Sacred Heart University's hockey program, the Bruins, and I hate hockey, but my wife loves the Bruins, and we've gone several times to see the Bruins play there. You get hockey, or you get concerts there, and also another great family thing, you have Disney on Ice. So in addition to the actual arena, which is a relatively new arena, which really replaces the New Haven Coliseum, which probably both of you are too young to remember.
I remember.
But one of the great things that the Webster Bank Arena has is great parking. Again, it's right off of the highway. You have a great outdoor parking lot, and also you have an indoor parking garage. So you could get in and out really, really quick, which if you're taking your kids to Disney on Ice in the wintertime when it's freezing cold out or raining like we did last year, really important to get in and out quick.
Okay.
Corey, are
Right.
you siding with Alan again? Come on, Road versus Disney on Ice. What's your daughter going to say?
She's going to pick Webster Bank Arena. Although what Alan said sounds impressive. New Haven's rejuvenation and repairing all their highways. That sounds nice, but the Webster Bank Arena, I think, wins this one.
Nice. Okay, so we're all tied up.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's probably better to not sit in a 2-hour traffic jam. So I think I still won on that. But anyway, I'm gonna keep moving on here. I'm not supposed to talk about Yale, but I'm going to talk about Yale anyway.
Okay, you talk about Yale.
Without Yale being in downtown, you're absolutely right. The town wouldn't look like that. But I think perhaps Bridgeport needs a Yale. It would fix up the downtown. It would rejuvenate the downtown streets. They're constantly refacing the exterior of their buildings and always putting in something new. And more importantly, in downtown, because of Yale, you have the Peabody Museum, which is, and they do have several museums in Bridgeport, but this far exceeds that. It's been there since 1880. 1866 is when it was founded, and it's probably one of the largest in the university-wise natural history museums in the world. And we have some of the finest art museums in the world too. We have the largest collection of British art outside of the UK at the British Art Museum.
I'm on a recorded call for a video.
And on top of that, we have the Yale Art Museum. We have several others that are hidden throughout town, and more importantly, theaters throughout the entire town. There's no less than 4 of them. And in Bridgeport, they have one, the Dinner Cabaret Theater, which, by the way, is a fun place to go.
Cool.
You can bring wine and you can bring dinner with you, but I would say that the Schubert, the Yale Repertory Theater, the Little Theater, and so on and so forth. Oh, and don't forget the Long Wharf Theater that's been there, God, probably for at least the last 40 or 45 years.
How about the New Haven Green? I mean, you kind of have to bring that.
I'm getting to that. Getting to that.
Wait, we only have 3 items. Okay, keep going.
Okay. No, I got 10 items, really, if you really wanted to go over. But yeah, the New Haven Green is one of the largest in Connecticut. And it was actually, interestingly enough, it's smack dab in the middle of downtown, which is the very first city in the United States to use a grid system. Mm-hmm. And everything else nationwide was basically modeled after that. And interesting, the historic part of downtown is turned on a 45-degree angle from everything else that goes north and south, because in the early 1600s, they believed that the air coming from the harbor blew disease in from the ships coming in. Yep. So it's actually an interesting kind of historic thing that you can see in downtown that you're not going to find in Bridgeport, because Bridgeport was founded, unfortunately, in 1836. And that's long after all the fun had taken place. It was just a center for machine shops. And interestingly enough, P.T. Barnum, you should talk about that.
I could have. I didn't, but I could have. So the other thing I like about the New Haven Green, not that I'm adding to your list of things that you should like, is that's the only privately owned green I think,
Yep.
anywhere in the US.
In
So
the US, yeah.
it's not owned by the city of New Haven. It's owned by the proprietors of the Green, which is a group of people who I think it's deeded, where they're able to pass their ownership down to either their family or other individuals. So I know there was a professor from Yale Law School who's a member, the old president of Albertus Magnus College. So it's a group of individuals who own the New Haven Green, and then the New Haven Parks and Recs Department actually maintains it. So that was something that I found interesting. But my top reason for Bridgeport, and I don't know if you could beat this, Yale and the Green are great, but you have Pleasure Beach. So I came across Pleasure Beach in Bridgeport when I was looking at ghost towns. And don't ask me why I was looking at ghost towns and seeing what ghost towns there are in Connecticut. But during that research, I came across Pleasure Beach. So it was abandoned in the 1990s. So basically, Pleasure Beach is an island off the coast of Bridgeport, which had a bridge going across it. So you could park on the mainland, walk out to the beach, and it was this little private island. So back in the 90s, the bridge burnt down and people couldn't get to the beach anymore. On the beach, it was open from 1892 to 1958. It was known as Steeplechase Island. And they had a movie theater out there. They had amusement park rides. It was basically a mini Coney Island. So back in the 90s, the bridge burnt down. They abandoned everything out on the island. They left everything just like it is. So the buildings are falling apart and everything else. So it's a ghost town. Back in 2014, they reopened it, and it's only accessible by water taxi. So they have 2 water taxis that go back and forth, 20 people per water taxi, and you could go out to the beach for the day. So the cool thing about the beach is our beaches in Connecticut, we have some really nice beaches, but mostly they're all covered in rocks and seashells, and they're not sandy beaches. Where Pleasure Beach, they actually groom them on a routine basis. They take all the, the slipper shells off the beach, so you have a nice sandy beach for miles. And that, I think, is the top reason why Bridgeport beats New Haven. And I know you love the beach, Alan, so
Yeah,
you gotta give that to me.
I love the beach. It sounds, I like being able to get in my car and drive to the beach and just be there and not take a ferry and pay a fee and all that.
No. I think it's free. So the other unique thing is a lot of the town beaches, they're making them only open to town residents, or you have state parks, which you have to be a Connecticut resident to go to, or you have to pay. So this is actually a true public beach. So anybody could go there, and you don't have any fees that you have to pay to get in there. And what's better than a nice couple-minute, water taxi ride out to the beach?
Pretty cool.
I could think of several things. Lighthouse Point in Morris Cove, right over that fancy $2 billion bridge that they built, which is a beautiful neighborhood with wonderful houses.
Yeah, but Lighthouse
houses that were transferred over.
Yeah.
No. Hang on. Let me just. I got a couple.
First of all, your drone, you can't fly at Lighthouse Point, but you could fly your drone at Pleasure Beach.
I bet you could, because they have no infrastructure down there and they don't have their own airport.
They have 2 water.
Okay, hang on. The only thing that I could find that was, I think, really interesting was that, interestingly enough, everyone in the state of Connecticut and people across the world, actually, if they watch TV shows like Family Guy, they're well aware of the town of Bridgeport. It's constantly made fun of for having a high crime rate and for being dilapidated and broken down. Interestingly enough, they have a higher population, 146,000. New Haven only has 131. Somehow, New Haven ended up with a crime rate that was exactly 0.7% higher than Bridgeport. But if you look at the individual neighborhoods, all of Bridgeport has a higher crime rate than the majority of downtown New Haven, the different boroughs. Interestingly enough, and I could go on from there, the school ratings in New Haven are from 6 to 9%. From the schools in Bridgeport, not so great. There's the crossroads for 91 and 95. Bridgeport does not have that; just has traffic jams. It has the best fireworks that takes place in the state of Connecticut, usually. So if you put it all together, it also has a really great community feel, and I think that's something you don't get in downtown Bridgeport. So, just to sum up, I think that I won. But I could easily give you 2 or 3 other things, but I know we were supposed to keep it keep it to 3. But I think that if there's a lot more history in one town, not necessarily making it better, but you know, P.T. Barnum's museum is in Bridgeport. He used to be the mayor of Bridgeport in the late 1800s. But where did they go and bring their elephants every time they came to the town? They came to the New Haven Coliseum, and you're right, it's no longer there. I absolutely remember being a 6-year-old child watching the elephants. But you know, so that basically sums it up for me.
Okay. Well, since we're not going to have Corey vote on the third item,
Thank you.
we're going to let our YouTube and Facebook participants vote and let us know which you think is better, New Haven or Bridgeport. And I think I gave some really compelling answers for why Bridgeport is better. And yeah, you got nice bridges in New Haven and you got some other nice stuff, but I think Pleasure Beach tops all of that. So leave your vote in the comments. Let us know which you think is better, either New Haven or Bridgeport.